How is Sober Paddy here? I want to tell you a little bit of a story about myself and the booze. It was about a year ago when I was doing a bit of a promotion for a flat kill which happened here in Australia, and I went out giving out flyers in the city centre in a pub just off Oxford Street, and for every schooner of beer I was having a chaser of whiskey, and I was really drowning in my sorrows. It was the anniversary of my father's passing away, and I was feeling a bit sorry for myself, so I started hitting the booze pretty hard. And I did this for a couple of hours and got pretty drunk, and then I went and called up my mate Joe, who's living out in Newtown, and I went and met him there, and had a couple of drinks with him and started talking about our fathers. His own father had passed away a good few years previous, and it was a school night, and Joe had driven down, and I was trying to get him to hit the piss like I was, but he wasn't interested. I was getting shots of whiskey and I was having him at the bar, and I was really trying to get him to get as drunk as I was, but he wasn't into it. And we were sharing some lovely moments. I knew his dad pretty well from being over in the house, and from my connection with Gaelic football and hurling and that. And we had a really sort of moving few conversations, and it was a really great time. Well, I think I just went over the edge in terms of my drinking. I just got that excessively drunk, and I was trying to egg Joe on and get him to get a couple of shots, but he wouldn't have it. And I said, well, Joe, why don't you fuck off if you're not going to have a drink with me? And proceeded to give him a kick in the nuts. And Joe, like the man that he is, he took it, and he just sort of looked at me and went, right, good luck. And fair play to him, he took it on the chin, and he realised that I was just being an obnoxious drunk. And he went off and went home. I proceeded to drink a bit more on my own, went in the smoking section. I don't really remember, it's very hazy, but I woke up in a laneway behind some big rubbish trucks, sort of garbage bin things, and I'd lost my phone, and my back was covered at about 50 or 60 mosquito bites where I'd fallen asleep on my front, and I was a real mess. And I got back and I felt miserable afterwards. There was a lot of recriminations and apologies to Joe, and I really realised that I had to knock it on the head around then. So I did. I turfed it in, and I hit the drive for a while. And around the same time I met my wife-to-be, Serena, and myself and her were getting on famously. We were having a great time, and we'd have a couple of small drinks here and there, and on celebratory occasions, like when it was our engagement, we had a bottle of champagne, and we had a couple of glasses of wine and that here and there at dinners and that. And over the course of the next 6 months, we were getting married, and then just being a little bit more social with her, I started to ease myself back in slowly to the drinking pattern, and it was always very controlled. And I never let the wheels or the clamps come off what I was doing. I always really tried to keep it, whereas myself and Serena maybe having a couple of drinks with dinner, or celebratory drinks, whether it was the wedding or it was sort of little anniversaries or whatever it was, that was pretty much it. So I really kept things under control. And in November time, Serena was entered into a swimsuit competition, Miss Bondi, by herself. And I was going to go out to it, and it was probably, I don't know if I was nervous or embarrassed or self-conscious about my wife appearing semi-naked in front of a massive room full of lecherous, horny men. But I don't think it was. I was pretty proud of her. I'm very excited about it, but I think I just really put the mindset that day that I was going to go and get blind drunk. Now, obviously there's some association with the two of them, but that's another day's story. So myself and Ozzy Fogarty went out to Bondi, and we got stuck into the beer, and we proceeded to get pretty smashed. I had a couple of good drinks before I left the house in the morning time, and we went out there and we got blind drunk. We had a great day, and Joey, my friend Joe, came out afterwards, and a few of Serena's friends, and we all gathered afterwards, and Serena was there, and she was on a real high after completing the event. And me at this stage, I was blind drunk. We were hitting all sorts of drinks. I can't really remember, to be honest with you, but I was back to old Johnny. And I remember Joey was talking to me at one stage, telling me a story, and I just started pouring a drink over his leg because I thought it was funny. I don't think he found it too funny, but we got over it. We moved all upstairs, and I was being pretty obnoxious. Serena was asking me to move over in the booth where we were sitting, and I wouldn't. There was people trying to sit in, I wouldn't move in. I met my boss from work, and I'd never really seen him in a social occasion before, but I was dry riding a traffic cone beside the table, and he was quite amused by it all. But we went and sat down again, and I was throwing bits and pieces into people's food, and I was throwing spaghetti around the place. And again, this is all just a year ago when I was 32 years of age, not 22 or 18. So as the night sort of progressed a little bit, I turned around to Joey and said, "Joey, isn't it awful that us lads can't have a great night out together with all these women over here ruining it on us?" And the girls were all just sitting there beside me, shaking their heads. And Serena turned to me and said, "Look, if you're going to be like this, you should go home." And I think it sort of settled into my consciousness somewhere that I turned to Joe and said, "Right, Joe, I'm too drunk, I have to go." So I stormed off home, and I left. I tried to ring Serena over and over again, but there was no reception in the bar that we'd been in. And I remember listening to some of the messages the next day. I was calling her some obnoxious names, and it really was. I was whistling Dixie down the line. Just complete rambling incoherency. And I got back to the house we live in. We shared with another couple of people, and Amanda was there, who just come back from a winery up in Hunter Valley with all these beautiful bottles of wine. So she left them all on the table, and I started to open them all and pour glasses of wine out. And she was like, "What are you doing?" And I started having hassle with her. She was pretty scared. I started giving her grief about her ex-boyfriends, what she was doing. I took a bottle of wine and was lording around the house, ranting and raving at her, and she had to leave the house. She was scared. She was actually petrified about that I might do something to her. That's how far gone I was. And Serena came home, and I don't remember this, but we had a bit of a head-to-head, and I sort of collapsed on the couch. We had a couch in the kitchen, and proceeded to get myself naked, and she had to drag me into the bedroom, and I woke up the next day, and I'd tried to climb into the house before on the way home, and I'd cuts and grazes all over me. I'd lost my phone or my wallet, and I really sort of woke up and sort of went, last night was a good night, wasn't it? And Serena filled me in on what had actually happened, and it just really hit home to me again that I'd actually really lost the plot again when I drunk for the first time in 6 months. And again, it shows me that I don't do things by halves. When I get drunk, I want to go and get bananas, and whatever mechanisms in my brain at the moment, it just can't handle it anymore. And when you find yourself doing the same things over and over again, and the same thing happens, you have to change it. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting to get different results. And I think I really have realised that I might be able to have a glass of wine with dinner, but anything more than that is it's ridiculously insane to try and do it. So there you are, that's me at the moment. I'm in a pretty good space. I hope you're all out there enjoying yourselves, having fun. And don't be getting into the bleeding pubs and shouting at bleeding gougers. Go on!